Nope, didn't pick me up.
Hey guys, it's Jared with Compare Prop Funds. We are live. Mike is jumping around in trades. We are active. We are ahead of the FOMC print later today, and we can just get into it. Mike, why don't you talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I've noticed kind of
Order filled.
just pick me up. I noticed kind of a pattern where we're going up and down here, and there's a bit of a resistance level on ES. I've seen it bounce off of a couple of times and then head back to the open. Yeah, I kind of have you in the back of my head, Jared, where there's no sellers in this market. So, when it does flush down a little bit like that, and I get a little resistance signal, I jump in along. And so this is my second long of the day. I did get stopped out for $100 profit, and I decided to jump back in because I don't see it dumping. I see it just going back up, which it's doing now. So up about $100 in the trade so far, and I got my stop at break even. Looks like we're getting some green candles.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if anyone doesn't know, generally FOMC is always a choppy event before the print. It's kind of like some last second trades as people position themselves ahead of the rate announcement and then the Powell speech. So, a lot of traders don't even come in. This is kind of one of the days they get to sleep in and come into the office a little bit later. But I completely agree. There still aren't sellers in this market. There are still really just right now, to me, it's just kind of traditional price action, swing up, swing down, shake short-term traders out of their trades. But nice little boost here. We're getting, it looks like an ES and NQ. For anyone that's been here before, we've got a little bit different setup. I know you can't necessarily see the names clearly, but we have on the left, upper left, is a 5-minute NQ. Okay, it looks like I'm getting in a long here. One of my bots is going long, but we've got S&P 500 on the 5-minute, and then we've got gold on the 5-minute as well, since gold's just been absolutely making a lot of people money. We thought we'd share that with you guys, but I am long. Can't say I'm super stoked about this long here, but it is from a bot in evaluation, so I'll let that one work.
Real quick, Jared, should I move my take profit up? Because I'm about to hit it, and you just entered a long. So I'm wondering if I should extend this trade out a little bit longer. My take profit's at 68.44 in ES, and we're almost there.
Yeah, you're at 42. Honestly, where'd you get in? In the 30s?
Yeah, I got in at 34.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're up a few $100, I'd say, well, I mean, what we're trying to make about $300 a day. I'm long. I can tell you my target on the upside trade for this bot is not a ton further.
It almost. Sorry, I got up to 68.43.75, and then went back down.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that trigger happy, I would say definitely move your stop up. To me, it seems like you want to be able to be comfortable letting your trades work. I don't think this is the last gasp. I said I didn't necessarily like this long because as you got in yourself, you were a bit early to the trade, kind of nailed the bottom there. But there's your 44 just tagged.
Yep. I did move my take profit up, and so I would have just ended the trade. Probably shouldn't have touched it. It's heading back up. I'm gonna move it back down to 68.44.
Okay, just hit 44. Okay, I see. So you went higher?
Yeah, and I just hit my stop at 42. So I got greedy. It looks a little choppy here, so I just got out. But all in all, great trade. That was awesome. a $250 trade for me, so I'm happy.
Great to hear. Great to hear. just so everyone's aware too, if you're seeing the feed live, uh, right now it might be a little choppy. We'll get the file out and replace the live with the recording if need be. But yeah, great trade. Caught the bottom there. We still have a few hours to FOMC, so this chop can kind of continue. If there's any bias, I do have to say it is to the downside, but it's not. It's not a strong downside bias. It's just kind of if you're looking at it from any technical perspective, we're setting higher lows and lower lows as well. So the trend is down on the day, but overall there's not a lot of movement here. So I am a few points away from taking profit in my first bot. Boom, taking profit right here. Nice trade. Got in at 72. My bot, I'm working out. I have some serious slippage in my account, but I got in at 72 and out at 92. So 20 points in NQ, one mini. That was a $400 trade. So I like it. And we're continuing to kind of move back towards the open. I've got some eager beavers here. We've got more trades. We're going long. Getting long in several bots again. So we'll see what happens. I tend to have less success when like a long start to stack on top of each other as shorts, with regards to some of how these bots perform. But we'll continue to watch. There's definitely no sellers right now.
So what's your end game with the bots? Are you using them to make yourself money? Are you planning to unleash them on the world?
Yeah, great question. I started out attempting to create my own bots, and through that experience started to really just started to kind of look around and see what people were selling and developing. And what I learned through that was I really need to understand what these bots are doing, how they're coming to their, entries and exits. I'm really early on in my development of my bots. I think I've hammered some really good entry strategies, but that's only half of the puzzle. And the other half is figuring out the exit strategies. And then you're always kind of managing it. So, what risk to reward are you going for? What are you really trying to do? So it's a continual development for me. What I'm noticing is there's some good slippage, but realistically, I would like to have some automation to my trading, and then layer in kind of my gut feel as far as as I watch these bots perform. How do I continue to optimize? In all honesty, I have zero interest in sharing my bots. I feel like once people start selling what they're developing, they're just trying to make money off of it. And at the end of the day, a bot's only as good as the trader managing them, because markets change, and sometimes a bot that is doing really good on a risk one-to-one risk to reward needs to be finely tuned. And if you're just out there buying bots and like, oh, here's a holy grail, I don't think there's such thing in the trading space. I think it's all an evolution and a constant improvement. So for me, I've just been trading certain setups, and I wanted to kind of force entries and force exits on myself, and not just sit back and be like, hey, okay, this is a setup, and I'm just going to use my intuition whether I take it or don't. I think the more I'm kind of forced into more trades, the more I'm sitting here analyzing it. And I'm long right now in 3 of my 4 bots that I'm running, and they're all doing good. All longs, all close to getting closer to target. One is almost at target. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm using it for. I enjoy the tech side of trading. I think algorithmic trading has been going on for years, and anyone that's a big time trader uses it in their repertoire. And so I want to continue to develop what I'm developing in my own strategies and copy that out to have some bots helping me out with my entries and exits and improving just what my intuition is. Like when you were in a trade and you're like, what do I do? Right? I want to have rules. And sometimes by creating these bots, there are rules to the game. And then it's like, okay, what I've noticed is how I can optimize the bot is if it's a big trade and I'm really close to hitting it and it starts heading in the opposite direction, more often than not, I should just take profits. And how do
Yeah.
I continue to involve that? Or, so I think a lot of people, and this is a really kind of high level, is a lot of people develop bots for entries and they really
Yeah.
don't think about their exit. And I would argue the exit's as important, if not more important, to properly optimize. So like for me, I'm up a couple hundred in one trade. I'm thinking, okay, my bot's going to continue to hold that whole risk. So I want to continue to look like, hey, if I moved mine to stop to break even, would I have saved money? And so that's where it's very early on for me. But I've been really happy with some of these setups I've developed. I really believe that you have to develop your own setup because it gives you like kind of that you build your gut, if you will. And so I find, okay, just closed one of my trades. Excellent trade there. So things are looking really good here. We're just getting long and staying long, guys. Getting a little bit of sell off, but near the highs of the day in NQ and the highs of the day in ES. I'm sorry, more in ES than NQ. NQ's lagging.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And as a noob, I do noob things constantly, and I would say that for a beginner, the exit is way more trickier than the entry. Because we do noob stuff like move our stop losses and uh, probably take profit too early, or what's worse is move our stop losses to keep letting losing trades work, letting our losers run. I'm sure you've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Man, it would be nice to have a bot that could just be like, hey dummy, quit doing that, or at least tell me what I should be, or what a better strategy might be. But
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people, I think, especially if you're a noob, is you don't have necessarily the resources to apply to charting software and development of bots and so on and so forth. Here we go. We're getting a nice climb here. I'm pretty much moving. This is where I want to manually control some of my trades. I'm just things are starting to take off, and I don't want to lose this upside in a trade. But what I'm speaking to is, for me within TradingView, okay, if I manually create this setup and I'm like, okay, this was my entry, this was my take profit, this was my stop, I have to, looks like we're closing some trades. It's great.
oh, great long.
I might have made too much money in that account. I am still getting long in accounts. We're having just oh, there we go. Nice pop. If you're long, watch it. Move your stops. This is kind of. I'm just gonna close that one. That one's looking really good.
Do you think this is going to keep running? Should I get in?
I mean, the move's already happened. I don't know what should be. That would be chasing, in my opinion.
Okay.
But could we go to the high a day? Sure. Could this is really tricky stuff. So this is a great question. Should you do something? I don't think you need or want me to influence your trading. Okay. Okay. So, like, if you're taking trades based on my opinion, how do you replicate that? Right? Like,
right.
So I would behoove you not to ask that question because there's no way to replicate that. My opinion is my opinion. I was in trades. I was getting out of trades. Again, we're kind of getting some pullback. Now, you could argue you could buy a pullback when you have momentum. But, for me, I think it's really important, especially for new traders, is if you're following other traders, it's just not going to benefit you in the long run. Um, even if they sound like they're amazing traders, I would just say that that's not necessarily always the case unless you're seeing live traders P&Ls and audited brokerage statements. It's kind of opportunity for them to take advantage of you. But regardless of the fact, I think, Michael, what you should note is your previous trade could have been extremely successful, right? And
Yeah.
how you tinkered with it affected your profit. Now, you had a nice high take profit, but you kind of started tinkering with it and you get stopped out. I think what you should notice is you don't want to chase a trade you already performed well in. Okay, 1 second. Is like, what you should do is be sitting there saying, okay, how do I work on my next trade to allow it to work? Because this would have been a great trade. Not like, how do I get another piece of my own trade? You already were in this trade. This move was something you already capitalized on. So that's would be my feedback for you is like, don't chase something you've already done, right? Like you're trying to, if you were in where you were initially and you would have caught this entire move potentially. So just look at it like, hey, I had a great entry. And again, in my journal, I write, focus on stops, don't tinker, and write that down so that you remind yourself, like when you're in another trade is, hey, I remember the last few trades, I was tinkering with a trade that ended up being a great trade if I had just not touched it. So that would be what I would recommend for you, just to like kind of mentally take it, because at the end of the day, you had a great trade. But you got out of it a little early. So what can you do? Is definitely not chase trades, right? Like, sure, this could continue to climb higher, but that isn't another setup. This is like a different technique. You had a great buy the dip.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I had a 10-point trade ish. It was actually an 8-point trade, and it could have been a 20-point trade if I wouldn't have moved my stop up and got aggressive. But like an 8-point move, I'm still really happy like with that. But that's again kind of a noob thing to um, not let my winning trades work. And I certainly cut my losers early. But the good news is the only losing trade I've had today is when I accidentally clicked on a sell and I got out immediately and I lost 25 points for fat fingering. That's the only thing I've lost on today. 25-point fat finger.
I will be
$25
right
fat
back.
finger.
Keep everyone entertained. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, it looks like we're consolidating at the top of the market. This FOMC is interesting. It's 90% chance we're going to get a rate cut, but um, I'm an antagonist. I root for chaos. So that'd be great if he kicked the can and the market dumped. It wouldn't be great for everyone, but for futures traders, I think that give you a clear direction and an easy way to make money, because I think we're already priced into the rate cut. So we'll see. That would obviously be a heck of a curveball if that were to happen. Um, Yeah, exciting stuff. Looks like we're about 3.5 hours away from that decision. I don't know if I want to trade from now until then. I'm up 550 in this eval on the day, um, which is the result of two winning trades. No,
Awesome.
yeah, two winning trades, a losing trade, and a few where I moved my stop up. I've made 5 trades today, which is a lot for me, with only trading an hour. I've been on from 7:30 to now roughly 8:30.
Awesome. Congrats. That's it seems like that's well above what you were targeting for the day. So I would say, even if FOMC is a trading opportunity, you booked a nice day, and you're trading the Lucid Flex account. So the most you can make in a day is 1,500. So you do have a little room, but at the end of the day, maybe you at least book half of it as profit. And what I'd also recommend This is a great segue into what you should do, in my opinion. You've got a great buffer. You've got a great day. How do you still trade but not damage it? I would argue start trading one micro. Okay, who cares if you make $20 or lose $20? You want to control your downside, but what you could do is kind of give yourself an opportunity to keep practicing good trading. So, if you decide to come back for FOMC later today, like if you downsize, now you don't have to worry about losing all your profits for the day. Maybe you're able to continue to work on your trades, work on understanding your setup, and even with the smaller size, you give yourself more room to work on holding trades longer.
That's good advice. I think I could probably do 5 micros. I think for me personally, one of the ways I get put on tilt is when I downsize that far. When I've done this in the past, I've done went from 1 mini to 2 micros. I've never done 1 micro. I've gone from 1 mini to 2 micros, and then I hit a home run trade, and then uh, uh, you know, you think about the money you just left on the table, and then you size up again, and sometimes you size up even more to try to make up for what you think in your mind is lost opportunity. And uh, 5 micros might be what I do for FOMC.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I think you need to change your mindset and look at it like, hey, I could either, you were talking about walking away for the day, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say is like, how do you create an opportunity to walk away without having to walk away? So, if you're considering, yes, I understand I'm downsizing, but you should look at it like, hey, I'm not planning on taking any more trades. So, you're not looking for more upside. If it happens, great. I think you're just trying to consider you should worry about like hedging your downside. I don't think you should think, hey, I could have made another $1,000 today because you are already happy with $500, right? This is a good day. This is a day I can book. And what I was suggesting is if you are going to trade, the only thing that I think will make you go on tilt is losing money. I don't think if you make an extra $100 and you're like, oh, that could have been 1,000, should really be something you're like worried about. You should be like, hey, I kept trading. I made another $100. I didn't even risk 100. And now I've had 5 trades where I've gained experience in the market because you're not trading paper. You're trading in some way some real money. And so that's just something, I understand maybe you have new concerns of like, how do I make myself feel bad about my successes? Right? Like,
Yeah.
damn it, this could have been $1,000. And if you trade like that and worry about what could have been, that's not going to help you in the long run. What you need to think of is, hey, I've made $500. How much am I willing to risk for another trading round? And if in that regard, I think like the downside is what you're protecting. You're not worried about the upside. And so that's the way you should kind of focus on it. In my opinion, that's kind of how I would try to tell you to be okay with taking smaller size. For me, yeah, I usually would trade minis, and that's why in that per dia account, I'm just trading 1 micro and 2 micros, is because it helps me remind myself that I can hit these goals. That's the crazy thing when you're trading really small sizes. You can work on different things like taking large moves. And then what you do is you just kind of mentally say to yourself, okay, this would have been a scalp that I would have taken as a mini, but now I get to experience going for the ride. And I'm not sure if you've heard the news that was released yesterday on Tradeovate, which is some new technology they're going to be introducing later this year or first of next year, where they're going to create the platform where you can instantly move between minis and micros without. So if you buy a mini, you can actually, it's going to be an option on Tradeovate to just shave micros out of it, which is kind of unique. I know you wouldn't necessarily be a fan. You like to kind of move by blocks. You like to be in a block and out of a block, but that is a change coming to the new Tradeovate platform, where you can shave. And that could be always good for your practice of, hey, I want to size down, but how I'm going to size down is I'm going to be taking a quick half of the, position, quick profits, and then, experience the move from there.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. You're right. I do like trading in blocks, but I also plan on evolving as well. So something I can take a look at. When I watch other traders online, a lot of them will do mini, or I'm sorry, micros, and then
Mhm.
they'll take half of them off here for profit and let the other half run. Those sort of strategies. And again, I always would think to myself, well, you just lost half your potential profit. But it's probably a silly way of looking at it. Um, but yeah, I think right now I have my micro up. I've got a 2 micro ATM set up, so I'll probably use that during FOMC. Take your advice, because you're right. I mean, if like I woke up today and you told me like you're gonna have over a $500 day today on FLMC day, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll take that. And I'm already there. So probably, should just be content with what I have.
Absolutely. I think being content with what you have is important. And I think, that's what I'm saying. Like the only thing you can potentially do is hurt yourself um, by continuing to trade essentially. Like just be happy with you got everything you were going for early in the morning and you didn't even need the volatility of FOMC to get there today.
Yeah, I hit my W setup twice, which I know isn't an actual setup, but something for I look for is this W pattern, which we made. So yeah, I should probably just be happy. I'm gonna go grab a coffee real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah. Um, we'll have to have Mikey. I can help him mute his mic when he walks away and grabs coffee. I know we all need that morning Joe.
Could you hear me?
I could just hear like wrestling around and stuff. Um, just like weird audio. Just remember to hit the mute button next time um, on
Yeah, no
your
worries.
collab cam. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I would say it's a good problem to have of hitting your targets and your again what I would tell you is the other side of the coin is tomorrow is potentially a really easy trading day. Uh, we're looking at chop. We went low. We opened, dropped down, went up to a new high of the day, dropped down, went up, dropped down. This is choppy, and choppy isn't necessarily the easiest. I think kind of directional is hard to get in, but really easy to ride. And this, is potentially what can occur tomorrow. So I'm actually just looking if I crossed the threshold of making too much money on this evaluation. I'm working to provide some more partners of ours on the website. And if you guys do or don't know, we in order for us to put somebody on our website, we have to have gotten all the way to a payout. We have to experience that, make sure it's acceptable for you guys before we're going to sit there and compare prop funds and recommend it just because we could make a commission. So just tried some of these newer firms that have come over from the FX space. Um, they're not ideal in my opinion because I can't trade news and I'm a big news trader. I also use news to save accounts. I don't allow accounts to blow up unless it's through a high news driver where I'm setting up a trade to kind of have a windfall. That's just one of my strategies with these, especially with these evaluations. But um, nevertheless, I want to get some nice providers, nice products, and if you don't really worry about trading news, I think trading news is kind of like one of their ways to catch you. Like, oh, I got you. You accidentally traded during this news driver, and a lot of traders don't even monitor news and are even aware of it. So it's something to kind of acknowledge. And on our website, we categorize and let you know, hey, these traders allow news or don't allow news because it's an important piece. Same with it, if they let you use bots. And these firms let me use bots, so that's the reason I signed up with them as well.
Yeah, yeah. On that piece you just said about trading news, when I see complaints on Reddit, because I'm on Reddit a lot to try to get tips and just see what other people are doing, you know, what other props people are using. I ultimately make decisions based on the information on compare prop firm funds, but but I go on there from time to time, and the number one complaint people have is like, oh, traded, you know, you traded this news thing, and they're like, how is this even news? And like you said, it's something that they just use to deny payouts, and we would rather not recommend those firms.
Yeah.
um, they came onto the site, and the information you provide on compare prop funds is very helpful to um, me deciding to give Lucid a try. And now that I'm trying Lucid, I prefer it over my funded futures. It's only slightly more expensive. I like the daily updates. They send you an email telling you where you're at, what your P&L was for the day, and it's been a good experience so far. So I hope to pass this eval and get to a payout so I can really, really give a full recommendation for them. But so far it's been good.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I honestly love that little. It's a really dinky email. Like, here's your daily wire. Here's what you made or lost. But it's kind of like you get one of these if it was a good email. You're like, yeah, I did book a good day, and you stack those simple emails of profitable trading. It's nice. Yeah, I agree. I was a fan of that as well.
And honestly, for me, like, I don't know, more story, but I trade um, early in the morning. I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I have a full-time director level job. So I don't really have time to just even to log into the website and check my P&L. So even just
Yeah.
them sending me that email is kind of like, oh, cool. It gives me a reminder. And yeah, it feels good to get those emails when they're positive, and when they're not positive, it's motivation to make them positive the next day.
Yeah. And not that we don't trust prop firms, but it's also like, hey, you saw that profit. We're on the same page, and I can think about it tomorrow. So yeah, great point.
Yeah, and there are top firms I don't trust. Name names, but um, yeah, it's definitely cool, the transparency that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with prop firms that don't exist anymore, that didn't even make it 6 months. The famous one that everyone's aware of is Fast Track Trader. They came on kind of the start of this instant funding process and really had low entries for like 50K accounts. I think were like $100 to $150. And I did get one payout from them, and then it was like, oh, I got a payout. I better buy 10 or 20 accounts I think I could have between my business and my personal accounts. And um, they, you find out through their bankruptcy filing that the CEO, as soon as he was getting his monies, he bought a Ferrari. He bought his wife a big Tiffany engagement ring. He bought Babe Ruth home run baseball. And it's like all this stuff is getting clawed back in the bankruptcy hearing because he just literally was buying it right from the business bank account. And it was like he was signing these extravagant leases in Miami. It was like the guy had, he kind of felt like he just had a windfall, kind of a scammer, and wasn't reinvesting the money that we were paying in. He was just spending it as fast as it came in. And, that's a prop firm, unfortunately, that I worked with. But it's really important that, we don't recommend new firms. Like if you go to compareprop-funds.com, you're going to see companies that have all been around multiple years. If they haven't been around, like Tradeify has been around just over a year, but they've already paid out over $100 million. You don't, if you go to their Trustpilot, you don't see bad reviews. And from us, we give them a perfect 5 rating because every payout we've had 0 questions. Looks like I'm getting short here, guys. Getting short, so we'll see if this kind of continues the trend of choppiness ahead of FOMC. But back to the statement, yeah, you want to see these companies pay out, and so you're sitting there like, hey, I don't have to worry about the money I'm making. So yeah, I think that's important for us. It's important for you to work with reputable companies. And yeah, Lucid is new, but I've been nothing but thoroughly impressed with every step they've taken, and I've had no issues with payouts. So we'll continue to recommend them and work with them, and you can have that Noob experience with them, as we hope many other people do.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna cut the stream in 4 minutes at quarter till so I can work, but I will be back on for FOMC. And I've already switched over to micros, my 2 micro setup. So
Awesome.
I doubt I'll take any trades from now until then, but if I do, it'll be micros, and we'll see.
Yeah, and since I'm getting potentially some alerts, what I could do, I think we'll end the stream here, but we'll plan on coming back for FOMC. Mike and I will talk offline and see if we can make something work. If not, maybe I'll just come back and trade the last 2 hours of the day with you guys. But right now I am in 1 short. Take that back, 2 shorts. Wow, that one's taken off. I'm going to close that short. Had some nice movement here. So that's a nice thing about with bots is, the setups are easy to define, but we got to work on our exits. So great stuff. Appreciate you coming on, Mike. And any last comments or anything before we disconnect?
Yeah. Don't blow your account.